Metal Gear, a fearsome fictional weapon that threatens the world with nuclear holocaust, serves as both the basis and the title for one of the most celebrated franchises in interactive entertainment. The creation of director Hideo Kojima, the Metal Gear Saga spans 5 groundbreaking games and a series of spin-offs that have combined to sell tens of millions of copies worldwide. Since its debut in 1987, the Metal Gear story has spawned a rich and unforgettable world full of fascinating characters, epic conflicts, and futuristic themes. But as Kojima and his team began preparations for the third game in the Metal Gear Solid series, Snake Eater, the clock was turned back in time, giving gamers a glimpse into this saga's genesis. Released in North America and Japan for the PlayStation 2 console in 2004, and in Europe the following year, Snake Eater was met with enormous commercial and critical acclaim. Critics and fans alike applauded the game for its unique survival-based gameplay, stunning visuals, and powerful narrative. Set in the jungles of Russia, Snake Eater reveals a formative chapter in the life of Big Boss, father and later foe of series protagonist Solid Snake. The year is 1964, and international spies have replaced infantry soldiers on the invisible battlefield known as the Cold War.
63年から4年っていうのがやっぱりケネディの暗殺があったりですね、ベトナム戦争があったりとか、そこからどんどんアメリカが暗い時代に入っていくっていうその端境期ということなんで、その時代を選びました。
In an 11th hour agreement between the United States and the Soviet Union, the U.S. government, hoping to abate the Cuban Missile Crisis, negotiates the return of Soviet scientist Nikolai Sokolov to the communist bloc. Crucial to shifting the tides of the Cold War, Sokolov is the target of a former Special Forces agent assigned to bring him back to American soil. That agent, a Green Beret named Jack, is codenamed Naked Snake. As with every installment in the series, Kojima populated Snake Eater with a colorful cast of characters. While the early appearance of the treacherous Revolver Ocelot was sure to please fans, no character played a more pivotal part in Jack's story than his mentor, the Boss. This mysterious woman warrior symbolized one of Snake Eater's most essential themes, maternity.
これまで不正のドラマばっかりを作ってきましたんで、ここで母性のドラマを作ってみようかなということで、今回はその父親じゃなくて母親としての存在、なので、ザ・ボスは女性というようなことになりました。
It's through this mother-son relationship that Snake Eater's narrative shifts from a straightforward 60s-style spy caper into an intricate tale of love, loyalty, and the call of the mission. But defining the unusual relationship between Jack and the Boss would prove to be a challenge.
そこで、スネークの、母親であり恋人であり師匠であるっていう非常に微妙なニュアンスをどうやって出すのかなっていうので悩んだんですけども、やっぱり母性っていうのを一番強く出さないといけないので、最初はですね片方のおっぱいを出して、出したまま、要はその母乳をあげる母親のようにそういうイメージで出したまま戦うっていうそういう設定でしたね。最初の時は、この胸のところに、蛇の入れ墨があって銃を撃つと入れますよね。で入れる、胸を見た人がその蛇が笑ってるっていうようなですね、そういう感じでその笑う蛇を見たやつは必ず死んでしまうみたいなそういう伝説があるというかそういう設定でした。
Even though Kojima's initial concept for the Boss was discarded, she remains a truly unforgettable character. In more ways than one, the Boss defined Jack, who would go on to best her in battle and assume her title. Jack would eventually resurface as the mysterious antagonist of the next chapter of the Metal Gear Saga. Although the original Metal Gear was the first game released in the long-running series, its narrative picks up where the events of Snake Eater leave off, delving deeper into the troubled life of Jack, known then simply as Big Boss. A young Hideo Kojima found himself creating the first Metal Gear on assignment from Konami management. He was asked to create a combat-driven game, not for the new and powerful NES console, but for the MSX2 home computer, a system with a much smaller user base than Nintendo's popular platform.
当時のハードでは、敵が横に3人並ぶともう弾が出ないという状況でしたので、プレイヤーと敵でこう打ち合いしながら進むっていうのはほぼ不可能だったんですけども、不可能であればどうしたらいいかということで、敵が3人しかいなくても、戦争ゲームといいますかそのコンバットゲームのような、世界をですね表現できる方法は何かということを探した結果が、メタルギアとその戦うんじゃなくて逃げるゲームで逃げるゲームであればその敵はそんなに戦闘状態ってそんなありませんので、敵はそんなにいらないということで、思いついたのがきっかけですね。
Unprecedented in its approach, Metal Gear shipped for the MSX2 platform in Japan in 1987. With its tension-filled hide-and-seek style of play, the game was immediately applauded by Japanese gamers. But it wasn't until the next year, when Metal Gear was ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System, that something unexpected happened.
ファミコンの部署の人たちが僕を抜きでですね作ったのがファミコン版です。全く関与してません。でそうはいえですねファミコン版で出て全世界で発売されてアメリカで特に100万本売れまして非常にヒット飛ばしたということです。で僕は関係ないんですけどやってみるとですねなんとメタルギア出てこないと大きなモニターしか出てこないということで僕の中ではクソゲーですねあれはやっぱり。
While the NES version of Metal Gear was the bigger success, the original MSX2 version of Metal Gear serves as canon in the Metal Gear Saga. Set in the year 1999, it was this game which first introduced the series' longtime protagonist, Solid Snake. As a new recruit, Snake is ordered on a top-secret stealth mission by the founder and leader of U.S. Special Forces Unit Foxhound, the legendary warrior, Big Boss. The target, Outer Heaven, a hostile South African country that threatens to unleash a nuclear strike upon the world by means of the mobile nuclear arsenal known only as Metal Gear.
僕らの世代はやっぱりその核兵器っていうのが非常にずっとあってですね、いつか核戦争があるんじゃないかっていうそういう、当時の恐怖ですね。僕らの子供の時代の恐怖っていうのは核戦争っていうのがあったのでまずそれをみんなに伝えたいというのがあって核兵器なんですけども単なる核兵器では面白くないので、やっぱり、当時のアメリカソ連、の核マップといいますか、ミサイルとですね ICBM と、潜水艦と、空ですねその3つしかなかったんですよ。で陸地を移動できる核兵器というのは出てなかったので、それがあったらいろんなことで、驚きがあるんじゃないかということで、陸地をどこでも移動できてどこからでも撃てる、核搭載歩行戦車というちょっと二足歩行というのは怪しいんですけども、そういうのを考えてそれを核にして物語を作ったということです。
At the beginning, Solid Snake is updated on his mission objectives by his commanding officer, Big Boss. But after a series of foiled attempts to coax Snake into capture, a conspiracy is revealed. Big Boss has defected and is moonlighting as the mercenary mastermind of Outer Heaven. On his own behind enemy lines, Snake is left with no option but to venture deeper into Outer Heaven, disarm and destroy Metal Gear, and confront his former commander. This complex tale of hide-and-seek serves as both the origin of the Metal Gear series and of the stealth genre as well. It was with Metal Gear 2 that the saga took a drastic and ultimately unofficial turn, beginning with a follow-up to the original NES game.
ファミコンの部署で続編が作られると。当然僕は関与してませんので、そのタイトルが、スネークリベンジというタイトルです。これで、アメリカで発売されました。で、それを作ってたスタッフがたまたま、帰りに一緒になりまして、で、その子がたまたま MSX 版のですね、ファンで、自分は今こういうものを作ってると。ただ本当のメタルではないのでっていうか、僕がいないので本当のメタルを作ってほしいということを帰り電車の中で聞かされまして、で本当はその違うゲームを作る予定で違う企画を考えてたんですけども、それを聞いて、で勝手に頭の中で脳みそがぐるぐる回ってですね、家に着くまでに企画が出来上がってしまったということで、次の日に会社に新しい企画書を出して作ったのがメタルギア2、ソリッドスネークですね。
But while this sequel was greeted with even greater acclaim than the first Metal Gear, the game was relegated to a Japan-only distribution for 15 years. Until now, with the release of Metal Gear Solid 3: Subsistence. The game is set 1 year before the turn of the millennium. Dr. Kyo Marv, a Czech scientist, is on the brink of discovering an efficient solution to the world's severe energy crisis. Led by Big Boss, a rogue group of mercenaries has taken Dr. Marv hostage, amassed a nuclear stockpile, and secured themselves in the fictional Zanzibar land. Once again, Solid Snake is called into action to infiltrate their stronghold, battle Big Boss, and dismantle a new threat, Metal Gear D. After successfully sabotaging Metal Gear D and Big Boss's plans, Snake slips away to take refuge in the Alaskan wilderness, concluding the lost chapter of the Metal Gear Saga. The debut of the PlayStation console and its ability to support 3D games would forever change the world of Metal Gear. Following the release of the first 2 Metal Gear titles for the MSX console, Hideo Kojima and his team went to work on Policenauts, an adventure game released only in Japan.
その後アドベンチャーゲームを作ってたんですけども、プレイステーションという、ハードの噂が聞こえてきまして、どうやらですね、家庭用で 3D ポリゴンが扱えると、もう当時で言うと夢のような話なんですけども、でそれを聞いた時に最初に浮かんだのがメタルギアですね。
Sony's PlayStation not only took Metal Gear from 2 dimensions into 3, but its CD-based media enabled a more cinematic presentation, including an impressive soundtrack and full voiceovers for characters. Metal Gear Solid finds Snake living in seclusion in Alaska, following his battle with his father, Big Boss, in Metal Gear 2. The year is 2005. A covert Black Ops group, Foxhound, has seized Shadow Moses, an offshore Alaskan army base, housing a new, deadlier Metal Gear, dubbed Rex. Leading Foxhound is none other than Solid Snake's brother, Liquid Snake, whom, like Solid, was cloned from genetic materials taken from Big Boss. With Rex's nuclear payload targeting Washington, D.C., Solid Snake must infiltrate the base and once again defuse a global threat. Joining Liquid Snake in his bid for power is none other than Shalashaska, better known as Ocelot. Here, as with his debut in Metal Gear Solid 3: Snake Eater, Ocelot treads a fine ethical line, double and even triple crossing his allies as part of his own agenda.
僕はその西部劇とかマカロニウエスタン大好きなんですけども、メタルといえば現代劇であるけども、テーマとしては西部劇ですね。でオセロと特にその中核をなす人なんで、僕リー・バンクリーフのファンなんで、リー・バンクリーフのようなキャラクターということで、オセロットが出てくると。
Following the successful completion of his mission at Shadow Moses, Snake makes his escape, accompanied by important new additions to the growing Metal Gear pantheon. Meryl Silverberg, a rookie U.S. operative, and loyal computer programmer Otacon.
このゲーム当時のゲームユーザーってほぼオタクと言われてた時代なんです。今はライトユーザーが多いですけども、それを卑下するわけじゃなくて、ある種オタクも知識を武器にして人の役に立てるっていうことをみんなに伝えたかったし、ゲームファンっていうことをもっと誇りを持ってほしいっていうのがあって、そのオタコンというキャラを作ったんですよね。で彼だけが銃を取らずに、自分の知識と、いろんなアイテムとかを使って戦っている人なので、僕は非常に好きなキャラクターですね。
With its cinematic visuals and full voiceover presentation, Metal Gear Solid expanded the franchise's breadth and depth. Solid Snake's quest to topple Metal Gear Rex and defeat his brother spins a storyline touching on many serious topics, including nuclear proliferation, cloning, and this essential message from director Hideo Kojima.
ソリッドシリーズは親から子に何を伝えるかっていう次世代に伝えるものっていうのが大きなテーマなんですけども、最初の時は一番分かりやすいものは何かというとその遺伝子ですよね。やっぱり遺伝子を残すために、生殖活動があって、こう育ててっていうのがそういう輪廻が繰り返されるので、そこにスポットを当ててあらゆるキャラクターとかストーリーとか伏線をその遺伝子という一点に集中させるような作り方をしました。簡単に言うとですね、例えば、ちょっと太った子がいてですね、自分の両親は運動ができないから自分もできないと思い込んでると、そうなのかもしれませんけどそうじゃないかもしれないんで、そういう子がメタルギアをやった時に、明日運動会でずる休みしようと思ってた子が明日ちょっと走って頑張ってみようかなという、そういうことでも思ってくれたらっていうので、そういう願いを込めてですねメタルを作ったということです。
Metal Gear Solid would become one of the best-selling, most highly revered games in history. Inspired and empowered by the international success of the first Metal Gear Solid, Hideo Kojima and his team went straight to work on a sequel for the PlayStation 2, the next-generation hardware that would power the next evolution of the Metal Gear Saga, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
メタルギアソリッド1が、発売されて、全世界ですね、日本と北米と欧州とに発売されて、想像以上にというか思いもしなかったんですけど大ヒットしまして、非常に嬉しかったんですけども、続編を望む声が、どこからも聞こえてきてですね、当然作らないといけないということで、最初は全く1で完結して違うものを作ろうと思ってましたけども、これは逃げられないぞということで、2を企画して、作ろうと思いました。
In the years following the events of Shadow Moses, Solid Snake has once again gone underground, this time accompanied by Otacon. Together, they have formed Philanthropy, a UN-sanctioned anti-Metal Gear watchdog group. The two resurface in late 2007, acting on a tip that a military tanker passing through New York City is transporting Metal Gear Ray, the next evolution in Metal Gear technology being developed by the U.S. Marines. Unfortunately for Philanthropy and the rest of the international community, Metal Gear Ray is hijacked by Ocelot, while Solid Snake disappears into the Hudson River, along with the sinking ship.
最初に準備してたプロットっていうのがですね、イラン・イラクの査察の話なんですけども、どうやらそこに核兵器がある、メタルギアがあるらしいということで、査察に行こうとするんですけどどうも見せてくれないので、そこで緊張状態があって、対メタルギア兵器というのを積んだ空母艦隊が、何十時間以内に査察をさせてくれないととんでもないことになるという状況で、その艦隊がリキッド軍に乗っ取られるという、そのような話だったと思います。ただ半年ぐらいしてですかね、実際に そういう状況が起こってしまいまして、これはちょっとこう作れないなということで、プロットを改訂して、そのできたのが2なんですけども、2のタンカー編というのはそのちょっと名残になります。
It's after the hijacking of this tanker that Solid Snake slips out of sight. And the first chapter of Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, comes to a close. The story resumes in 2009, with Snake infiltrating an offshore plant rumored to house the stolen Metal Gear Ray. But Kojima had a big surprise planned for the many fans of the series. When Snake's diving mask comes off, the true lead player in Sons of Liberty is revealed. His code name, Raiden.
1の時にですね、モニターチェックというのは当然します。で、社外の人をいっぱい呼んでですね、メタルギアを普段買わないような人もいっぱい来てもらって、女性の方もですね、やってもらうんですね。で、そのアンケートによってどうするかっていうのを決めながらゲームを作っていくんですけども、ある女子中学生がプレイしまして、アンケート用紙にですね、いろいろ書いてもらうんですけどね、もうこんな親父ばっかり出てくるゲーム嫌やと、しょうもないと、こんなん嫌やというのを書かれてたんです。で、一番最後にこのゲームが発売されたら買いますか、絶対買わないっていうのがありまして、チームにはもうね、だいぶ落ち込みました。どうしたらいいなと、しんちゃんとだいぶ落ち込んで、やっぱあれやな、美形を出さなあかんなっていうことで、ユーザーのためを思ってですね、僕らはライデンというキャラクターを引き出したわけですよ。
With the introduction of the new lead character of Metal Gear Solid 2, the player, alongside young Raiden, is ushered into a new world, starring a diverse cast of characters, some old, some new. Solid Snake, calling himself Iroquois Pliskin, and partner Otacon reappear and aid Raiden throughout his first field assignment. Making his first appearance is Solidus Snake, otherwise known as the President, George Sears, who joins Snake and Liquid as the third of the cloned Sons of Big Boss. What ensues is an elaborate narrative that weaves in and out of reality, intertwining Raiden's fate with the experiences of the player. The game concludes with Raiden fighting a life-or-death battle against Solidus Snake and a host of Metal Gear Rays. Sons of Liberty would go on to sell millions of copies worldwide, fulfilling fans' elevated expectations for a sequel. The game has since become infamous for its enigmatic ending, leaving players with more questions than answers about their favorite characters. Since its release, gamers have sought the secrets behind the mysterious group, the Patriots, Vamp's apparent immortality, Olga's orphaned child, and the truth behind Ocelot's possessed arm. These questions, as well as the fate of Solid Snake, seemed destined to go left unanswered, as director Hideo Kojima was planning to retire from helming Metal Gear-related projects. Rallied by his team and Metal Gear fans from around the world, Kojima has decided to return once more to the director's chair to tell the next and most likely final chapter in the story of Solid Snake with Metal Gear Solid 4.
メタルギアソリッド3部作といって、1、2、3ときましたけども、2の後はどうなるんでしょうっていうのが非常に多く皆さんの意見でありまして、で4はですね、2で残った、あらゆる謎、いろんな小さな謎から大きな謎がありますけども、それを全部解決するつもりで作っております。4で全てが終わるような感じですね。MGS サーガーがこれで終わるっていうような、ことを念頭に今作ってます。
And when the Metal Gear Saga draws to an end, it will be on the PlayStation 3. Powered by next-generation hardware, Metal Gear Solid 4 will push the limits of video game sound and vision, and challenge gamers with its riveting brand of tactical espionage action. Metal Gear Solid 4 promises not only to be a momentous event in games, but the climax of the Metal Gear Saga as well.
でキャラクターの方も、 3はやっぱ1960年代だったんでオタコンとかメリルとかで、出すことはできなかったんですけども、今回、2の後なので、その辺のですね今までのキャラクターが勢ぞろいと、出せるだけ出すつもりでいますので、この辺はぜひご期待ください。で今のところですけども、今のところシナリオは入ってますね。で、今の現状報告で言いますと、愛国者たちとは何なのかとか、オルガの子供とかですね、バンプは何で死なないのかとか、もしくはリキッドの腕をつけたらオセロットはなんでリキッドになるんやとか、そんなアホなっていうようなことが、あるとは思うんですけど、その辺は、納得いくような形で、今のところですねなってますね。最終的にどうなるかちょっとまだ分かりませんけど、ということで4で全て完結できるような体制で進んでいます。
From the heroic origin of Big Boss in Snake Eater to the surprise debut of Raiden in Sons of Liberty, the Metal Gear series stretches across 5 original game titles and just as many decades of fictional history. The saga comes to a close with the 6th and final chapter in the story of Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid 4.
こちらスネーク、聞こえるか？
僕だよ、スネーク。
お前は
ああ、僕だよ、スネーク。
オタコン。
待たせたね。今度こそ僕の出番だ。
今どこにいる？
もち安全なところ。
これ遠隔操縦か？
うん。歩行制御はセルプロセッサだよ。
オタコン、まずいことになったな。囲まれてる。
そうだね。
うまい手はあるのか？
いや、突破するしかない。
ご親切に。一緒に来るか？
もちろんずっと追跡してるよ。スネーク、
なんだ？
タバコやめたんだね。
いや、火種を探していたところだ。
まさにそこは火種の真っ只中だからね。
行くぞ！もはや隠れるところはない。メタルギアソリッド4ガンズ・オブ・ザ・パトリオット。ところでオタコ、セルプロセッサーってなんだ？
コンピューターアーキテクチャに革命をもたらした高性能マルチコアチップだよ。軍事にも利用されてる。
そんなものが戦場に必要なのか？
あ、プラットフォーム戦争に勝つためにはね。
このメタルでか？
それはこれから僕たちが証明するんだよ。スネーク、この先僕らはどこまで行くのかな。楽しみだ。
here. Let's go.
That was a close call.
I'm defecting to the Soviet Union.
What are you talking about?
I'm loyal to the end, to my purpose. What about you, Jack? What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me?
If such a weapon is unleashed on the world, it will not be long before all nations are engulfed in conflict. The Cold War will end, and the entire planet will be consumed by the fires of war.
You have 1 week. You must find some way to prove your innocence.
Prove our innocence?
Yes, preferably something painful.
To put it simply, in order to avoid a full-scale nuclear conflict, we have to prove that America was not involved in that explosion.
And eliminating the boss ourselves will prove America's innocence?
What if we can't prove our innocence?
If you fail, it will mean the beginning of a new world war.
People aren't the ones who dictate the missions.
Then who does?
The times. People's values change over time, and so do the leaders of a country.
Weren't you born and raised in America?
Yes. In a small rural town. I never even knew there were other countries, other cultures, other ways of thinking.
What was it that made you want to change sides?
I saw the universe.
I would once again find myself creating weapons of mass murder. Every day, I help create things that should never be used, things that should never have existed in the first place.
What's your name?
Snake.
No, not that name. You're not a snake, and I'm not an ocelot. We're men with names.
What's the story between you and the boss?
She was like a mother, and my master.
Do you love her?
No, nothing like that.
Do you hate her?
For 10 years, we lived and died together. You couldn't possibly understand.
Unlike Sokolov, the thought of defecting has never once crossed my mind. I love my country. I love this land.
I could see the planet as it appeared from space. That's when it finally hit me. Space exploration is nothing but another game in the power struggle between the US and the USSR. The world used to be whole.
The conflict between the philosophers has torn it in two. We will use the legacy to heal that rift and make the world whole again.
The survivor will carry on the fight. The one who survives will inherit the title of boss. Prove your loyalty. Face me.
I've come to realize that there's a special relationship between you two. Something I can't understand, something that goes beyond a man and a woman. But I don't want you to fight her.
I raised you. I loved you. I've given you weapons, taught you techniques, endowed you with knowledge. There is nothing more for me to give you.